Alright, welcome back to my Let's Play of Geneforge. We're picking up right where we left off. And we're exiting out of this area where we encountered that first servile who was the shepherd. And he told us about that there's a servile town called Vakkiri right near here, where we can find old and wise people who also happen to be serviles, who might know something about the fate of this island and where we might find a boat. So let's go see what we're dealing with here. And we're back here on the world map, or the Susha Island map as it were, and to the town of Vakkiri. You can see it here on the map. There's the town, one town here. Over here there's it looks like another town. And over here another town. And then it looks like there's something else over here, but we can see some docks up here, docks down there, the docks here where we landed. And I'm sure there's some other things here too, but you know, we'll find them as we go. Oh yeah, we should actually think of a name for this dang Fiora. Rename. Calling it Fiora is almost like calling it Thing. Come here, Thing. What should we call him? He shoots out is that a mote? Is a mote of a fire? Call him Pyro. Alright. That actually, I got that name from, there was a game, what was that called? Turn-based tactics game that was a PS2. Oh, Eternal Poison. One of the enemies. It's called a Pyromote, and I just like that name. Anyways, you meet for the first time a colony of serviles on Susha Island. There's a great deal of astonishment on both sides. The creatures seem to have done well on their own, much better than you would have suspected. They have moved into the Shaper ruins and made them their own. They have crops, shops, and even guard patrols. The serviles, in turn, are speechless. They have clearly been without Shaper influence for many years, and they have no idea how to react. They look overjoyed, relieved, and terrified all at the same time. Most of all, though, they look expectant. They watch you carefully, gauging your every move, wondering how you're going to treat them. The power of the Shapers has always completely overwhelmed that of their creations. You, however, don't have the full power of the Shapers. You are weak, tired, untrained, and alone. Fortunately, they don't seem to know that. Yeah, we really have to remember we're a tiny baby Shaper. Welcome to Vakkiri. Which is interesting that they put it here, since that was a sealed door that way. So I guess they're on the thought that someday maybe someone will come this way. A guard servile. You meet one of Vakkiri's guards. He is a servile, wielding an old, dented, but very sharp sword. The guard bows. He seems slightly nervous about your interests. Greetings, Shaper. How may I assist you? Well, what are you guarding against? Rogue creatures are common in the woods north and east of here. We never know when some of them will stumble into Vakkiri and need to be dealt with. Huh. So there is danger in this island. We apparently landed in the safe zone. Where can I find any information or assistance? You should speak with the leader Kobar. He's in the feasting hall in the southwest corner of town. Alright, well, I don't need any more assistance, thank you. The guard bows once again and continues on his rounds. Yawn! If you ever have done guard duty, yeah, it's really boring. It's really, really boring. Let's see, who are we dealing with here? Serviles, and let's talk to this servile right here. He has a purple robe for some reason. This servile is working hard to grow small green vegetables. She seems to be doing very well considering her lack of supervision, and she bows. Welcome to my humble plot of land, Shaper. Oh, what are you raising? Just simple vegetables. They aren't a creation, just ordinary food. You look closer and you see that she's indeed correct. Okay, I'm looking for information. Is there anyone here who can help me? You should talk to Learned Pinner. She points to the northwest. She lives in the building back there in the woods. Alright, thank you. Never mind. Return to your work. Thank you, Shaper. You're very kind. Look at those crops. I wonder what those are, like cabbages? Must never forget the cabbages. Never forget the cabbages. Card, servile, servile, servile. It's a good little handy thing, the tab button. It'll show you the name and identity of anything. Ooh, here's a name servile. Sensia. This servile woman looks at you with interest. There is not as much of the usual awe and fear in her eyes. She looks at you as though you were just another servile, and it's very strange. And she says, I'm Sensia, Sensia of the Awakened. I welcome you to our humble home shape. You serviles all live here? All of us serviles live in these old buildings. Many of us live in these barracks, and others, those of low rank and stature, live in private homes. I, however, choose to live here. I like to be close to my fellow serviles. Yeah, since our little pal here is a bit of a awkward pal, and he's never seen, it would make sense that he would say, you speak very well. Who taught you? She looks slightly offended by the question. Who taught us? We did. After the Shapers left our isle, we knew how they spoke, and we started to speak that way for ourselves. We know that Shapers think very little of us, and that's why I became one of the Awakened. Some of us, though, do not speak as well, and do not have such aspirations. Well, who doesn't speak well? Do not give much weight to what Clackett says, or how he speaks. He is one of us, but he's foolish, and he speaks foolishness. Do not judge me worse because of him. Oh, wow. You say that you are of the Awakened. Tell me more. We are a sect of serviles, led by the mighty Elrod, who believe that we serviles must stand up for ourselves, be proud, claim our intelligence and our birthright, and look to you Shapers as our equals. We know that many of you Shapers will not approve of this. We will take the consequences for this. If you would like to learn more, you should speak with Elrod. Well, given that serviles are seen by Shapers as minimally intelligent, but basically intelligent, but menial laborers, I think our pal here is going to be kind of surprised by that idea and find that rather odd. However, given that he is a tiny baby Shaper with no power and who's lost, and these serviles are basically friendly, I think he's going to control himself. And you have to remember, he's aware of the fact that he doesn't have any power, legit, from the Shapers at this moment. That he's able to make a Fiora and to cast a Firebolt and to heal, but not because he learned them the proper way, but because of canisters that he just found. Now, of course, he has no idea what the heck is the deal with the canisters, but I don't know. We'll see. But who this Elrod person is definitely interesting. Tell me about Elrod. He is the founder of the Awakened. He is our creator. He is old now, and he was the first one to stand up and tell us that we should stand up, look out for ourselves. He said that you Shapers have abandoned us, and that made us free. You should speak with him. He lives to the east, in the fortress past Watch Hill. Well, you seem to know a lot. So let's ask her what her job is. Is she some sort of caretaker? Or is she a commissar? Is she a recruiter for the Awakened, recruiting other serviles? What is your job? Elrod has asked me to stay here and look after the serviles here, and to guide them. We are of the Awakened, but sometimes they revert to their old Shaper worshipping ways. Usually it is simple, but sometimes there are difficulties. Are you having difficulties now? I suspect there is a Taker spy in the village. The Takers are a dangerous rogue sect to the east, determined to foment rebellion against the Shapers, an ugly, pointless war. Sometimes they attempt to stir up trouble here. If you find the spy and brought him to my attention, the Awakened would thank you. Alright, well that's enough for now. Thank you. So apparently not all the serviles agree with each other. You have apparently many serviles who, if left to their own devices, will return to their old ways in which they basically worship the Shapers as though they were divine beings. Then you have the ones who want to have an all-out war with the Shapers, whereas the Awakened seem like they strive for a middle path. We'll see what is the deal with that. We'll have to talk to some Takers, though, before we know what the Takers are really about. Let's see. Oh, in Ernie. Inurney. Inurney wears the traditional long robes of the serviles, modeled after shaper robes. However, her robes are covered with food stains of varying ages. She's bustling about her kitchen, preparing all manner of foodstuffs to feed the serviles of the hall. And as she moves, she says, "I am Inurney. Welcome to my kitchen. You look hungry." Let's ask, what do you serviles eat? What does anyone eat? Mostly vegetables grown here, and foraged, some bread, some meat from the orcs we raise. All of it raised or found by us, with no shape or help. Then she, sorry, didn't mean to give you an awakened lecture there. Okay, well, let's get some food. Well, actually, let's say, first, it looks like you're hard at work. Oh yes, I don't cook for all the serviles, but I cook for all those who haven't been mated, and that is enough to keep my days very busy. It would be much easier if my best knife hadn't been stolen. It was true steel, hardened by magic, a true shaper artifact. I would pay well to have it back. But, oh well, a brigand probably took it. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can get some food. In Ernie's kitchen. And surprisingly, Inurney is not just giving you food. The serviles here believe in fair trade for all goods, even with shapers. What? Market principles at work? But... let's see, we'll buy some, we'll make a sandwich. There's some meat and some bread. Prices here are expensive. Okay, here's an interesting thing, right? So the prices here are expensive. That means all the prices are relative to the attitude of the shopkeeper to you, or it may be the shopkeeper's faction that they belong to you. And so expensive is about it's kind of middle of the road, vaguely on the pricey side. But I think it goes up from exorbitant and then utterly ridiculous. I mean, basically, if they're charging you utterly ridiculous prices, means their faction or they themselves, they don't like you. That's right. And then it goes from expensive to slightly expensive to very reasonable or pretty reasonable to extremely cheap or something like that, or extremely reasonable. Those people, you basically are their best friends. But yeah, so expensive is on on the pricey side of reasonable. Alright, that's it. Thank you. Who's this? Ah, here's Leader Kobar. Unlike the others, this servile does not fear you, or if he does not show it. He's clearly sizing you up, trying to figure out whether you are a help or a threat to the serviles under his care. And he bows to you, a very short, sharp motion, all the time keeping his eyes on you. And finally he says, "Welcome to our home. I am Leader Kobar, proud awakened and chosen leader of the tribe of Vakkiri. It is a pleasure to have the Shapers among us once again at last." You could not fail to notice the way that Kobar emphasized the word leader, or the lack of enthusiasm he put into saying the last sentence. Meaning he probably could have lived the rest of his life without seeing the Shaper. But, here we are. Let's see, that's a lot of things we can ask him. Let's see, tell me more about your village. After the Shapers abandoned us, we serviles struggled for survival. Most were unable to live without your guidance. Some of us were selected by cruel nature to be allowed to survive. We formed 3 villages that I know of. What are the other 2 villages that you know of? To the east there is Pentel. They are a feckless servile lot. You'll like them. Past Pentel is Kozg. You may wish to avoid them. They are very martial and they have little love for Shapers. They hate you. And even more, they are terrified of you. A volatile combination. You don't know all the other settlements of the island? To the north is Harsh Wasteland, full of rogue clawbugs and vlish. There we do not go. To the northeast are mountains, well protected by Shaper creations and traps. Beyond, we cannot go. In those places you might find anything. Huh. So, clawbugs and vlish are 2 types of creation, pretty serious creations. They're not like top tier, but they're definitely more powerful than the average little pal out for a nice constitutional can handle. Especially our Shaper. He's tissue paper Shaper. You said that you are awakened. Tell me more about that. After the Shapers abandoned us, we serviles struggled for survival. Most of us were unable to live without your guidance. Some, now we already had that. Sorry, I did not mean to ask you the same thing. Tell me more. Let's see. Tell me. There we are. All of us serviles have developed our own ways and beliefs to deal with the Shapers abandoning us. There are 3 sects: the Awakened, the Obeyers, and the Takers. Well, then tell me about the Awakened. All in this village are of the Awakened sect. We have been awakened from the dark sleep of Shaper mastery. Our eyes are open. We wish to deal with the Shapers as equals, with friendship and gratitude, but we will not be slaves to you any longer. Be wary, Shaper. If you anger the Awakened, this town will no longer be open to you. Now we have 2 options here, which seems a bit, I don't know, given our little pal's situation here. I don't know. 1, I'm very amused by your aspirations, but I doubt the Shapers will be supportive. Well, the second part of that, I think, is a reasonable thing to say, that the Shapers would probably not be. I'm very amused. I don't know. Maybe he is amused. I think he's not amused. I think he's kind of like still surprised. Because remember, he didn't even realize that serviles could do this sort of thing. I mean, he's been, all the serviles he's seen have been completely sort of, what's the word, infantilized. Now, he probably thinks that that's just their natural condition. And they're here saying, no, we're living proof that's not the way it is by nature. So, I don't know. The second one, it sounds like a strange new belief, but I hear some wisdom in it. Now, the first part of that seems very reasonable for our pal to say. Because, I mean, yeah, strange and it's new. I hear some wisdom. Would he say that? Now, the fact that they've survived for over 100, maybe even 200 years on their own, and have a city, a town, it's not a city, but a town, I don't know. And maybe he wants to be, I mean, this dude is offering him cogent, or how would I say, very intelligible points of view. I mean, that's what I would feel, if any person would feel. So I don't know, we'll think we'll go with this, although, who knows. He's like, I might regret this later, but I think that sounds like a strange new belief, but I hear some wisdom in it. He looks, despite himself, relieved. Whew! I'm glad to hear this. We had expected instant opposition from your kind, but if we can convince you, there may be hope for peace. Now here's the thing our friend's been probably thinking. I'm a baby Shaper who has no authority at all. And remember, he hadn't even been to become a full apprentice. He had just gone through the, your initiation ceremony to start being an apprentice. So I don't know. But then again, you never know. Let's see what else he has to say. Oh wait, yeah, we can tell me more about it. Let's see. Let's hear about the Obeyers. They are the ones who wish to follow. They are the ones who worship your kind as gods. You will find them to the east, as obedient and pliable as you can possibly wish. We're not fond of them. I mean, that makes sense. It's kind of the exact opposite in their MO. Or at least it's opposite in as much as, they will not be slaves anymore or worshippers anymore. But maybe the Awakened, maybe the Awakened and the Obeyers at least are friendly in terms of they don't want war with the Shapers. Let's hear about the Takers. They are the mad ones, the takers of free. They have been warped by the cruelty of their time here. They were made that way by the Shapers, and now they wish to overthrow them. They wish to separate completely from the Shapers, and if the Shapers attempt to deal with them, they wish for combat. They are mad. We have no worship for the Shapers, but we do not hate them either. We wish to be equal, and that is all. Alright, well, let's just get back to our things. Okay. I wish to learn more about this island. When and why was it abandoned? I deal with the now and the future. I leave it to others to worry about the past. You should talk to Learned Pinner, he points to the northwest. She loves your kind more than is safe, and she will gladly share all of her limited knowledge with you. So he apparently does not entirely find Learned Pinner to spend her time in edifying pursuits, apparently. Let's see. I guess, what dangers do you face here in your village? Because we have heard about the wastelands to the north. Hunger, cold, rogue creations, all the many perils that you Shapers abandoned us to. and he pauses for a moment thinking. Then he says, "Do you know something? We serviles are not as foolish as you think. We can plan, we can trade. I can't help but notice that you're lacking supplies." Ruh-roh. "If you would use some of your awesome shaper power to aid us instead of crush us, I could provide you with useful goods. Fair trade. Does that appeal to you?" Alright, well, sure. He's, how would you say, he's observed well our current state. We're broke. And we only have one little red fire-spitting consignatus on our side. "I'll trade with you. What would you like?" "Well, what do you need?" "The main road to the east passes south of Watch Hill. It is the road to the fortress of Elra, leader of the Awakened. And recently, almost overnight, the area has become infested with rogues. We suspect that something or someone is creating them. There are too many there to be accounted for by random migration. Go there and remove the source and we will pay you." Now, if our friend here had any doubts that the serviles here are able to think out and plan reasonably in a calculated way, this is definitely complex way, in fact. That would, I don't know, that would definitely dispel that doubt. Let's see. "I wish to leave this island and I require a boat. Where can I find one?" "I would like to help you, Shaper, but we are a trading people and we require your help as well. There are ways you can assist us. Sometime you should speak to me of the dangers we face." Okay, we've already done that. So maybe that would have been chronologically better in front of that one. He's like, basically, scratch our backs, we'll scratch yours. I bet you our pal here is kind of irritated by that. But, you know, he knows the situation, so... But he's going to tell me. "I was stranded here because a large ship destroyed my craft. Who would do such a thing?" "I do not know. I can't believe that anyone would attack Shaper in the open in such an open and foolish way. Only a madman would attract the wrath of the Shapers. In this, I wish I could help you. Such provocations cannot be good for anyone. Not even the wild serviles of Kaz would do such a thing, I suspect. I do not think you will find the answer to that question here." Huh. But he said that the serviles of Kaz want open war, but maybe they're not ready for it, and they would just, he's saying that they wouldn't make a tactical blunder like that and prematurely bring the wrath of the Shapers on them. Makes sense. So maybe there's other forces here. When we saw it, it looked like a weird, and as far as he knows, as far as we know, an alien-looking sailing ship. Very different, and that our Shaper here didn't even recognize the type. And so if the serviles here are the leftovers of the serviles, or the descendants of the serviles who are here in a Shaper island, it's doubtful that's their ship, because everything they have here seems to be developed out of the leftovers of Shaperdom. Anyways, alright. Well, that's it. Thank you, Leader Kobar. Who are you? Brodus Blade. This servile is as muscular as a thod. She's a massive creature, all the more remarkable when you consider that serviles were not made for feats of strength. She notices how surprised you are at her physique. "I am Brodus. I am the Vakkiri Blade. I defend the serviles here from all threats." And she puts extra emphasis on the all. "If you mean us peace, we welcome you. I welcome you on behalf of myself and the Awakened." "You're a blade? What does that mean?" "It means I defend the serviles here from all threats. I'm the leader of the guard and the first to fight. And with all the threats we've faced recently, I'm kept very busy." "Well, what sort of threats do you face?" "There are the rogue creations. They are all around. They appeared recently mysteriously and they plague us. Leader Kobar can tell you more about them if you are interested. There are also the bandits. They are an extra weight on a load too heavy to bear." "Well, you know, maybe we can help you with your struggles." "We hope that when you Shapers return, you would help us, but do not think your help will make us willingly return to servitude." Well, I can guarantee you that no regular Shaper would offer that help if they were. That's just not the Shaper way. Shapers are, in that way, very direct. They're too proud. But anyways, there's a tribe of rogue servile bandits to the north. They are strong fighters and cunning. They raid us and take our food and weapons and wealth. They do not kill, but they take our food. This we do not need. End their raids. If you have to kill them to do it, so much the better. I can't spare the casualties, but you have the powers of a shaper. You should be able to destroy them with no difficulties. And if you happen to die in the process, I mean, I'd be very sad. Yeah. So, you defend against all threats, even me? I do not believe that you wish to threaten us. Basically, Brodus here is not impressed with us enough to think that we're immediately intending to be a threat, but I'm not some taker to believe that you Shapers are always evil, but be warned. If you threaten us, your powers will not dissuade us from acting against you. Alright, well. So basically, she's just pragmatic and practical, but, you know, still reasonable, affable. I don't know if she's affable, but she's not. She's still balanced in her approach. You say you're awakened? Tell me about it. I should not. I believe it with all my heart. That doesn't mean that I'm a good teacher of it, she thinks. Talk to Sensia. She's the best among us at explaining the path. Okay, we've already spoken with Sensia, so we'll leave that for now. Thank you, Brodus. Blade, ma'am. Actually, I don't think you call it ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Brodus, Blade. We'll use the title. Now, I said in the northwest, there should be Learned Pinner. We should go talk to Learned Pinner before we wrap this up. I think this episode is just going to be us talking to the major players here in Vakkiri. Alright, here's the northwest. Ooh, the Shaper statues. I always think the Shaper statues look really cool. It's like, here, let me stand by the Shaper statue. Power remote, don't get in my way of my pictures. There, yeah. There's another servile. Learned Pinner. You meet a very old servile, one of the oldest you've ever seen. They are made to live a very long time, and this one is definitely trying to set a record. She is stooped and withered and must be well over 100. When she sees you, she has to exert a great effort to keep from breaking down. And she's clearly overwhelmed with an emotion, and she stares at you with awe, as if her God had stepped down to earth to face her. Maybe it has, and with a trembling voice she says, "Welcome, Shaper. I am Learned Pinner. Welcome to my home. Welcome back, at last." Okay, let's see. Why do you have the word learned before your name? I have no ability to, to think things through for myself. It is a mark of respect for my people. I have been alive for many, many years, and I know much history. I will share it with you if you want. Your kind has been away for a very long time. Why is Susha Island barred? Why was it abandoned? We do not know. Your kind left 2 centuries behind. Oh, your kind left 2 centuries behind. They left behind us serviles. They did not tell us why they left. I have an idea, though, of where you can get a clue of why the isle was abandoned. Tell me more. To the north of here, there's a large ruin. I think it was once a school where your kind learned their arts. Such a place would have a servant mine, and that mine might have been told why Susha Island was abandoned. Go there, and see if you can learn anything from the servant mine. But be careful. There are rogue creations in there. If there weren't, I would have gone and looked myself. Let's see. Who lives on this island? We serviles occupy most of the island now. Our history is not an interesting one. We live, we grow our crops. It took many years and many great losses to learn to live for ourselves, but we managed. Lately, though, we've been joined on this isle by many rogue creations. We don't know where they came from, but they make our lives very difficult and dangerous. Still, we're surviving. Okay, that was the thing we asked before. Why is everyone so in awe? I don't know. Is that a good question to ask? I mean, is that reasonable? Let's see what she says. Why is everyone so in awe of me? I guess he's such a newbie to the Shapers that he's not used to people. Because as we'll learn later in the series, the Shapers are very strict and very harsh and demanding on their apprentices. They're basically treated kind of like dirt initially, and it takes a long time for them to get to a position where they're treated as even junior colleagues. So I don't know, maybe that's what He's not used to getting people being in awe of him. So why is everyone in awe of me? She seems confused. You are one of our creators. You made us serviles, and you can make us disappear. All we have and are, we owe to you. Your disappearance has been difficult for us, and all of us know how we should treat you. And not all of us know how we should treat you. Okay, what do we say? Well now that I'm here, I expect to be obeyed. Actually, Or, well, it looks like you're doing pretty well for yourselves here. I have no plans to interfere. Sometimes I think these questions are a little too, make up your mind right now. And would he make his mind up that quickly? But he doesn't intend to stay here. He's trying to get out of here. But he also realizes that he's a little baby a little baby shaper. I don't know. Maybe he's a more reasonable person too. I don't know why he's in the shapers, but So we'll go with that. Well, looks like you're doing well for yourselves here. I have no plans to interfere. And she looks very pleased. I'm sure that many here will be relieved to see it. For some, your arrival has been the cause of fear. In addition to love, of course, you are very kind. I have found some very strange artifacts in this island. Do you know anything about them? He's talking about the canisters. I think you mean the canisters? The large glass cylinders with the glowing matter inside? I have some of the fragments of them in the back room. They were shaped by the shapers here. They were created by the shapers here before they left. Do you know what they're for? I've never seen one before. We know that the shapers made them here on this island. We serviles do not use them. To do so kills us instantly. We tend to fear your shaper creations. We don't do anything with them. Well, because I'm a very reasonable person and very cautious. I've used one, or 3. It changed me and it made me more powerful. Are they dangerous? I do not know. I see nothing unusual about you. If you use more of them, I can look at you and see if I see a change. And we've only used 3, which isn't that much, so maybe that'll come into play later. Finally, we can ask her about a boat. I require a boat to escape from this island. Do you know where I can find one? You should find and speak with Leader Kobar. If anyone here would know of it, he would. Okay, we've already talked to Leader Kobar. And for him to help us, we have to help him. So let's take a look. What is here? We're not going to look in her stuff, but let's look at these books. This is an old shaper book. The serviles have very reverently placed it here and taken care of it for many years. The mere fact that it belongs to the shapers makes it incredibly valuable to them. They must not realize that it's just an old ledger. The record of budgets and inventories within were probably useless even before the island was abandoned. It doesn't matter though. All that matters is it belonged to the shapers. Huh. No, another one. And another one. Which makes me wonder if the serviles apparently cannot read the old shaper script. Can they read shaper script at all? I wonder. I actually don't know. Maybe we'll find out. So she told us about the ruins of a school to the north. That maybe we can find some answers as to why the island was abandoned. My feet hurt. Yeah, don't they though? That is life as on guard duty. Or in retail, or food service. Aching feet. Are you? Servile? Oh, we talked. Same old thing. Just a servile farmer. Affable enough, but we're not going to learn anything from that one. Alright, well, I think that's actually long enough for this episode. Don't want the episodes to get too long. So, next episode we'll pick it up from here and we'll explore the rest of the village. We've talked to the major people here in Vakkiri. It's actually a town, it's not a village, properly speaking. But yeah, we'll talk to the rest of the people in town, and then we'll proceed out to deal with rogue creations that are tormenting the town of Vakkiri. Thank you for joining me again on this episode of my Let's Play of Geneforge here on my channel, Idle Wisdom. Take care, everyone.